We are go for liftoff in T-minus 30.
It's the Weiliotis podcast.
I like it.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Weiliotis podcast. And if you're watching right now, you might be able to tell I grew a little mustache going on here.
It fits you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I like it. It's I haven't been able to grow a mustache this full in quite a while. But here we go. No, this is just magical secret technology that only we have. Yeah. Definitely not just something that's in Zoom, like a feature of it. No, it's our technology.
I think we have to point out that I believe we're the top podcast in the whole entire world that has the word wheel in it.
Really? Okay. Cool.
I don't know if that's true, but I'm going to guess that. I would hope that's true. Although there's a psychologist called Dr. Wheel who probably has a podcast. But with all of the money that Tom and I have from all of our ads, we can now do fun stuff like this.
Oh yeah, we're going crazy with the eyebrows. Oh yeah, the possibilities are endless. I can't wait. But yeah, welcome back everyone. It's good to be back recording again. We got a really good episode today because we just watched an insane movie that I'd previously not known much about. But you know, all the better going into a movie this blind. And with me as always is my good friend, co-host, writing partner, among other things, Mikey Wheel. How you doing today?
Hi. Oh, good. I don't know how to take the lipstick off.
Nah, just gotta have it for the rest of the episode, I guess.
Oh, there we go. I'm just still playing around with these features. Every time I log on Zoom, I notice there's new things on here. Yeah, Weiliotis podcast. As always, we have to kind of start it off by pointing out that we are not affiliated with Ray Liotta. It's just the Weiliotis podcast because that is our two last names put together. But at some point we'll probably do, that's good for film. We'll probably do a Ray Liotta episode. We'll probably talk about B Movie, which is his best rated, I believe, and most popular movie he's ever done.
Yeah, oh yeah, by far. I don't think anything's come close. But no, Ray Liotta's a king, icon. I would love to have him on. Amazing. Yeah. He's in so many amazing movies.
Let's tweet him. We should and see if he comes on.
Yeah, I think we could.
Yeah, it's so as you can tell by our background, Tom and I this week watched the greatest movie ever made. At least the best movie of 2021 so far, Psycho Goreman, which we're gonna get into once we get all the kind of other stuff out of the way, industry news and stuff like that. But I think it's fun to talk about a movie like this because you and I both share a love for B horror movies.
Yes, very much.
There's Roger Corman, who does so many great things. Lloyd Kaufman of Trauma, what is it, Toxic Avenger, which they just said they're rebooting. Or
with Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, which
is cool.
Awesome. Yeah,
I'm excited for that.
I love tacky and cheesy and 3D and IMAX and all that. So like, I'm hoping it gets like a good production value and comes out in like 3D, but still has the kitschiness to it.
Yeah, they got to ride that line, and you know, I think like this movie is very like almost evocative of like Lloyd Kaufman kind of stuff, and you know, to me, this is like this might be the perfect movie for this show in general because this kind of has everything we both love, just like our first episode, Cabin in the Woods, where you know we kind of our love for that movie kind of was a reason for starting this in the first place, and now this one where in a different factor, it's kind of emblematic of like late 80s. I got like late 80s, 90s horror movie tropes. I got feelings of Nightmare on Elm Street and Power Rangers and like just like every like crazy thing from that time period in like film and television.
Very nostalgic. My dogs are cuddling up behind me, so I'll post a picture on our social media so people can see what I was distracted by. There was so much this movie. I didn't even know it existed, and I think I saw a couple people on Facebook talking about it. It's called PG, Psycho Goreman, because that's what the the girl nicknames him PG. I guess like ET is probably what they're going for. And I just saw like a trailer for it and was like, yup, and went on demand, watched it. So within like 1 week, I didn't even know that like my new favorite movie existed. And here it is. And Tom and I, we also started writing the movie a year ago, which is very B-list or B horror movie, very much like that. It takes place in Florida. Has to do with gators. That's all we'll tell you for now.
Yeah, I don't think we've said much more about it, but
No.
yeah, we're almost done with it, which is exciting. And yeah, it's definitely like in that realm of more kitschy, like lo-fi B movie kind of deal. So it's exciting. I think it's a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun to make.
Said it before, and I'll say it again. And you know, I studied film in college and all that, and people hate me as a film person because I don't love all the Oscar movies every year. I haven't seen Gone with the Wind. I didn't think Citizen Kane was like the best movie ever made or a great movie. So I'm not the best film person. I'm a person who would rather watch Sharknado 8 than like whatever Daniel Day-Lewis has been method acting for the last 6 years. And for me, I've always said that and I've said on the podcast, I believe Steven Spielberg came to me. It was like, I want you to star in this World War II movie I'm doing. It's already getting Oscar buzz. I'd be like, cool, let's do it. He's like, $20 million. I'm just going to catapult you right into the category of $20 million actors. And then if I got a call from Sci-Fi and they're like, hey, we're making Cloud Octopus movie, which is about octopi that come out of clouds and attack from the sky. And it paid like $12,000. And I had to pay for my like hotel and airfare.
Yeah.
And it shot the same time as the Steven Spielberg movie. I would do the Cloud Octopi movie because I love the kitschy. I love it. I entered that Roger Corman competition last year, where it was just him and his wife just pretty much were like, hey, let's have people make kitschy movies that are inspired by I think he's made over like 200 plus movies his career. And I made one for that. And I think this is the first time we're going to do it. I made a trailer a few years ago. I vacation in Maine every year with my family. I made a trailer for a movie called Maniac Sharks, MAINE-IAC or something, Sharks. And it was a very bad acting movie that I made with my dad and my friend Vanessa. I think my mom was in it. I love casting like friends and family and this stuff. And I think we're going to play it right now. So if you are listening to this and only listening to it, hop onto our YouTube, watch the video. For now, you're just going to hear the amazing audio, but here it is.
This sun is a scorcher. I think I'm gonna go for a swim.
Just be careful, there's sharks out there.
Not in Maine. This water is too cold for any kind of sharks.
Watch out! Shark! Hello? Yeah. Hi. This is Carrie, the head of the Department of Defense. Yeah. There's sharks attacking Maine. Yeah, I know. No, it's not a joke. There's sharks attacking Maine. I need military right now.
Shoot to kill, man! Bill, no! Oh no, we're losing men! We need backup!
Sharks.
And we're back.
The first time we've done that. I always wonder how people like edit that into podcasts. But yeah, Maniac Sharks. I saw a trailer for a movie the other day. I forget what it was, but it was like Jaws in the house. It was like a shark came out of a toilet.
Oh man, is it also sci-fi? Is this one of their releases?
No, this is just a small. I think the person's even in New England too, so we're gonna have to have them on the podcast. And then I came across another trailer called like Shark of the Corn. And it was like Children of the Corn, but it was like a couple like breaks down in the like a cornfield, and sharks attack them in the cornfield. And I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think did you must have posted about that. I saw a post about that recently, but yeah, like everything I kind of echo in the sense where like it's refreshing to see something like this because I don't know, like you can tell it's very low budget, but at the same time they absolutely make use of that budget and don't
the costumes, the makeup, the FX. I mean,
we'll get into that for sure. I mean, that's such a big part of the movie.
I thought it was like, I didn't know it was going to be as violent and as gory as it was. Like it was called PG Psycho Goreman. So I was like, oh, it'll probably be like a kitschy Power Rangers, like kapowie, boom, bang. But the movie is extremely graphic and gory from the start. I mean, the whole entire movie is... Some of
the goriest imagery I've honestly seen in quite a while. And like the creativity of it and like just the... even like somewhat realistic. I mean, more or less in the sense where like I feel like there is no boring shot, like no boring violent shot. Like everything is dripping or like melting or like something grotesque. It's a gross movie, but like in the best way. You don't
question any of it. None of it is questioned. You're just like, and none of the characters in the movie question their surroundings. They're just like, well, this is the norm.
Yeah, this is life. Yeah.
But I guess before we get into it, what have you been watching? What movie news besides New Toxic Avenger have you heard about?
Well, watching still, I haven't had a ton of time to watch movies other than this one, obviously, for the podcast in the last week. I would say I've been watching TV wise, like I got I might have mentioned on the last episode, but I've been watching Avatar: The Last Airbender because one of my roommates hasn't seen it and it's amazing. Like to me, it's like it happens to me it's like a really good, powerful, like and funny just story that just happens to also be for kids. It doesn't really feel like it was necessarily just directly aimed at children. But I remember watching it when it came out in like 2005 and I was in like middle school and like it still holds up really well. So that's been one really good show I've been watching. And I got a lot of movies I want to watch in the pipeline, especially now checking out more stuff from this director and the company he's with. But what about you? Have you watched anything recently? Anything good?
Yeah, so when we talked last week, I'd started watching Raising Hope because of Cloris Leachman passing away.
Right.
And I haven't finished it yet. When I do, I'm going to go back and watch My Name is Earl. They're all done by the same creator who I now just absolutely love. His name's Greg Garcia. So he made those two shows. And then I took a break on Raising Hope because I found a show on Hulu. I had heard about it, but never watched it. It's called The Guest Book. It was 2 seasons on TBS. And every episode is a new cast pretty much. And it's basically a new set of actors come and stay at this cabin and they write in the guest book about their experience over that weekend. And just to name some of the cast, ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Garrett Dillahunt, who's in Raising Hope. He's in a lot of these episodes as well. But for like cameos, you have the person who played, I believe, one of the nurses on Scrubs. She's in it. But Jimmy Tatro, who's one of my favorites. He's so funny. Tipper Newton, Jamie Presley, Mary Lynn I can never say her name, Ratzcub, Margot Martindale.
She's very funny.
I mean, just like Will Arnett, everybody shows up at some point in this. I'm trying to see. It's just if you like comedians and TV, and like I showed my wife one episode yesterday that had one of my favorite people in it. I showed her it because I was just like, you can watch it as a one-off episode. Lauren Lapkus, Danny Pudi, Michaela Watkins, Matt Walsh, Michael Kenneth Williams is in the last episode, Oliver Hudson, Shannon Woodward, Pete Davidson, Nat Faxon is in one of the episodes, and he's just one of my favorites. Kate Micucci.
Yeah, really, everyone's in that.
Heather Donahue, she's in the one with Nat Faxon. I don't know if I ever told you my Nat Faxon story or talked about on this podcast. My wife and I went to Sundance last year for the day, and there are all these people there, and we passed a couple celebrities. We got pictures with celebrities, musicians, whatever. But there was like one person that I read about was going to be there, and it was Nat Faxon and Jim Rash. They were there to promote. They had written and directed Downhill, the Will Ferrell movie, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I always get her name wrong.
And they previously wrote, what was it, Descendants?
Yep, they won the Oscar movie. For. Yep, and this Downhill's a remake. My wife and I had seen it on like Valentine's Day. She took me to go see it. and we, saw Will Ferrell, saw Dreyfus, saw Zach Woods, and then Nat Faxon and Jim Rash get out of a car and head into one of the buildings where they're doing press for the movie. And he was like the most excited I was if I was going to see him that day. And from like 10 feet away, I just go, Harrison, and doesn't see me, doesn't hear me, just walks right inside. And I look at my wife and she just goes, what was that? And like, I showed her this episode yesterday and she brought up that memory as well. But yeah, so the guest book is great. We're still watching Your Honor, which I saw just got nominated, the new Bryan Cranston show.
Right.
I'm really, it's hard to find time, but really want to watch Bliss, the new Owen Wilson movie.
That looks interesting. Is that Amazon? Is that an Amazon?
Amazon, yeah, free on Amazon, I believe. And it looks so trippy. It's kind of like that whole what if we're living in a simulation?
Yeah, and I like that. And I'm all for at this point, like seeing, like comedic actors take more serious roles and vice versa. So like, I mean, I know Owen Wilson has been in serious stuff before, but like it's kind of this seems like a more unique project for him. So
you think the whole movie is just him going, wow.
I know, I was saying that when I was watching the trailer, just wow.
We should edit the video, like edit every movie he's ever done, the trailers of it, and just have him going, wow, the whole thing.
Wow. It'd be like 3 hours probably.
Like Owen Wilson in like a war movie, and it's just everybody in the front lines, and he's like, oh, we could replace gunshots with Owen Wilson's wow, which might have been.
Oh yeah.
We've seen things like that. But that's what did I saw today that Face Off is being remade. I've never seen the original, but I need to.
Oh yeah. Amazing movie, and I didn't even know they were making a remake of it, but
yeah, I'm trying to think of what else. I haven't finished The Good Place yet on Netflix. I'm like 2 or 3 episodes away from finishing it, and I just like I don't want to finish it because it's so good.
I get that feeling.
Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist is really good. We've been watching that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot. I just started Billions, which I've never watched. I've watched Succession, which is fantastic, and now I'm starting Billions, which I guess is similar. But
yeah, I've heard so many good things about both those shows.
Yes.
Succession I know is newer. That one, I've heard a lot of good things about that.
I couldn't recommend it enough. It's like and I started Billions. I'm only like halfway through the first episode, and I'm not too interested in it. I'm sure it gets way more into it, but yeah, Succession is one of the best shows on television. It is disturbing and funny and dark, and it's basically about like the 1%, like what happens when you're part of the 1%, the problems they go through, and it's interesting. But yeah, so that's
I'll be checking that out for sure.
Trying to think. I watch TV during the workday, just some sitcoms in the background, and then at night we watch Bachelorette, of course. Teen Mom, we watch that. Your Honor, we watch a little bit of everything. Very diverse.
Oh yeah. That's good. Yeah, no, a lot of good stuff. And then as far as like, I had brought up a couple of things for some movie news. Just two things I want to bring up to casting, recent casting choices. One of them is Jack Black. He's going to be Claptrap in the Borderlands film, which is interesting. Have you ever played the game before?
I've never played the game. I love Eli Roth, obviously more than anybody. And I'm excited because Jack Black was in a house with a clock in its walls, which was an Eli Roth kids movie.
With her and Kate Blanchett, who's also going to be in Borderlands.
Really?
Yeah, she's in it. Yeah. So far it's Jack Black, her, I think Kevin Hart, which is funny because both him and Kevin Hart are previously in the 2 Jumanji movies.
The best movies.
But no, I'm kind of looking forward to it because I don't have a crazy history with the game. I do remember when the first one came out. That was like a year after I got an Xbox 360. So like I remember that game was a big deal. And then I only played the second one, which is I think it's still like arguably the best one. A lot of people say it has the villain in it's Handsome Jack, like just a really funny villain. You only ever hear him. I don't think you ever even see him, but they're really, really fascinating games. And I think like they honestly just have a lot to work off of. It's a kind of a big open world game, like multiple storylines going on. Has a crazy, unique kind of like comic-y like visuals going on. So
the artwork is beautiful, right?
I think it looks great. Yeah. It's like a combination between more like honestly like classical, like not classical, but like majestic, like Oblivion type almost graphics, but it's way more like comic booky. I don't know. People might disagree with me on that, but I think that's how it looks, and it's cool. It's a fun open world game, and just one of those games where I didn't even beat the second one because I get so like sidetracked with it because it's such a big game. and I get overwhelmed, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like,
I'm that way with Far Cry 5. I'm not a gamer much. Like I just play Mario, Super Mario, the old ones.
Yeah.
But Far Cry 5 has been like my favorite game for years, and I'm still only 33% done with it because it's open world. You can just go mess around. It's like when I had Grand Theft Auto, I would just ride motorcycles off of cliffs. I never did actual, challenges. But I also saw, I don't know if you're gonna bring this up, the casting of The Last of Us.
Yeah. Another more crazy casting.
So that one was the guy from Mandalorian that everybody loves.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal. He's awesome, and it's cool to see him getting so much work now because obviously, like he became huge off of Game of Thrones. And then it seems like from there he's just kind of been getting all these projects. But it's cool to see him cast. And then I know also, it's two Game of Thrones actors actually because the little girl Ellie or Elle, it's one of the I forget her name, but she plays somebody in Winterfell from the show. She's like one of the little she's like a prince or like a princess or queen of like her own little like village or something. I forget her name. But
I didn't watch it too much.
She's good. She's in like the latter half of the show, like later seasons. And she's really young in Game of Thrones. She's still really young now, but she just had like a very like fiery like performance, and I think it's just good casting overall. And yeah, I'm excited because again, another game series I haven't played much of. I know the second one came out like last year, but the first one I played a little bit of with my friend, and it's amazing. I mean, it's super cinematic, just like Uncharted is, and definitely some of the better games I've seen and played for like PlayStation overall.
Is Uncharted being done with Tom Holland? Is that official?
I forget it. Is that? I think it's still happening.
He's in everything. He's tapped to play Willy Wonka in a prequel in 2023. I want that life. I want that life where it's just like, oh no, I'm booked for the next 10 years making movies.
Yeah, it's
you never have to look for work. He probably doesn't even have to audition. So, all right, let me ask you this: there's a new Mario movie coming out. Last of Us, Borderlands. What's a video game that you would love to see adapted as a movie or show that has never been done or even like speculated?
Honestly, I would choose. It's funny because like I think the natural response might be like, oh, go with something like Borderlands. Go with something that has all these crazy storylines. But to me, I'm thinking of something a lot more simple. Less is more kind of ideal because have you ever played the game Shadow of the Colossus?
No, but I've heard of it.
It's amazing. Like it's one of my favorite games easily. And I think it's only a Sony, PlayStation release. It came out for the PlayStation 2 back in like 2005. It's been remastered obviously for like the PS3 and 4, but it's a very simple game. Like you're a prince who has to traverse the land and kill all these like mythical like mountain giants to awaken like a princess. So it's like a really super like basic ass story, but the whole game is like such an experience. Like you have to like literally go out on your horse and find all these giants themselves, and like even just like traversing the land on horse and like all the beautiful mountains in the background it's like super like majestic. It's nice to look at just as a game. And then the actual fights, which like all the action in the game is basically all like big like monster battles, and you have to like scale the monsters because they're mountains basically. So you have to like scale them. They're moving around trying to shake you off. So like it's a super immersive experience, and I can almost see someone like a James Cameron making something like that, where like and actually it's for all the gamers out there watching. If you played the last Star Wars game that Fallen Order I think came out last year, there's a scene when you scale an AT-AT, and I'm playing that right now with my roommate, and that brought me right back to playing Shadow of the Colossus, where you're just like scaling these big monstrous beings, and like I think that would just, if you had the right team behind it, I think that would be like incredible, like visually, like could be like one of the coolest looking movies ever made if done right. I think.
They're rebooting Resident Evil, which the first Resident Evil, if 28 Days Later didn't exist, the first Resident Evil would by far be my favorite zombie movie. The first
really?
One. The second one's whatever. The third through the 15th are terrible. I haven't even seen most of them.
I have a soft spot
for 'em. Resident Evil, I saw it in 8th grade, and just like it was very good, especially for its time. And Silent Hill has very, very twisted movies. I saw one of them in 3D, and the second one, that opening's real disturbing. But yeah, they're rebooting Resident Evil. Robbie Amell's in it, who I do like, but like I don't know how that's gonna be. And then I know Zelda just got pulled, like it was gonna come out on Netflix, and then like something got leaked and they're taking it back or something. But for me, I'd love to see Far Cry 5 as a movie, just because it's very like culty. It takes place in beautiful Montana. But I think, what was I gonna say? I had one in my mind. Donkey Kong would be cool as like a CGI mix kind of movie. But Alice. So when I was in middle school, high school, I remember seeing a PC game called Alice, and you played as Alice in Wonderland, but it was mature rated. And then they came out with it on PS2, and it was a sequel called Alice Madness Returns. And you are Alice and Alice in Wonderland, and you have a butcher knife, and you run around just killing, just like the teapots and everything's after you. And like that would be such a cool movie to like kind of have the dark, twisted version of that.
Yeah, like really lean into those aspects of Alice in Wonderland, because already Alice in Wonderland is kind of creepy and like weird.
Yes.
So like just like go intense with it.
No
I like that.
I'll
have to check back because I remember that game. I remember seeing the cover all the time in like the GameStop and stuff. And like I remember, I don't think my mom let me get it, but like I always wanted it.
Yeah, my roommate a few years ago, he had a PlayStation 2, and I bought it like just for that. And then I think I sold it when I moved out. But man, I would get a PlayStation 2 hooked up again just for that.
I would too, honestly. Like there's some great games for it. I mean,
NBA Street, nothing's gonna ever beat that game. And NFL Blitz, I was
just gonna say that.
Yeah, Blitz the League, the mature rated version of Blitz, where you can like spend your money at strip clubs or like juice your players up who are injured. Yeah,
it's such a funny game that I remember. Well, it's funny because I remember I think it was 2003. I remember I got for Christmas one year. I think, or maybe it was earlier. It was the year I got my PlayStation 2. I got it for Christmas one year, and I got the original NFL Blitz for it. I think it came out like 2002 or 3, but that game, oh my, so fun. Like it wasn't the league one. So I think it was rated teen, so it still had like a little bit of blood in it, but like it was just so funny because obviously the tackling mechanics in it were like so fun. Like
you could just keep tackling.
Yeah, you could just keep tackling.
It's just piles.
Yeah. Even before like they start the game, you could be running around like tackling like your teammates and stuff. And it was just like it was so fun. Like I just play it with my dad all the time. Like such a fun game.
I had the same strategy every time. You hike it, you run it all the way back to your own end zone, and then you throw it to the other end zone. Works every time. Hopefully I never compete with anybody, but Blitz was the best. And like with video games being so nostalgic these days, like my father-in-law, we bought him this plug and play thing the other day for his birthday in January, and it had Burger Time and all these old school games. Like old school games have made such a comeback that I remember we were growing up, like if you wanted to buy a pinball machine or like a full arcade size cabinet, they were like $9,000. And now you can go to Best Buy and get Golden Tee for $500, the golf game. You can go there and you can get I think it's NBA Jam, but like now these days you can get that table with Pac-Man and all the other Namco games. But like these days everybody wants it, that they're just producing them more cost effective, and you can just get any arcade game. And if I could get Blitz the League in my house as like a full-size arcade game, that would just be the dream. Oh, I love that. We gotta talk about video games for one episode.
I know, we might as well. I mean, like I said, this show is, we've said it before, it's open to everything, not just movies, TV show, any type of art, forms.
Nobody owns us. We're produced by ourselves. Unless somebody wants to buy us and then, sponsor us. We'll do that too as well.
Yeah, we could do that too, I guess. Damn, options. But yeah, no, I think those are all good choices. And yeah, now I just want to buy a PS2 so I can buy Blitz. I
think we have a PS2. We have a PS1 and a 3. I don't know if
I got a PS1 as well. My roommate has a PS4. But yeah, that's all good stuff. Oh yeah, one more thing too, because I mentioned earlier that casting news. The only other casting news I want to bring up was the new Martin Scorsese movie that's filming like probably any day now. Killers of the Flower Moon. So they got recently just confirmed that Lily Gladstone is going to be in it, and the only thing I really know her from is a Kelly Reinhardt movie called Certain Woman that came out maybe like 4 years ago. But she's really good. She's from that movie alone. She has a very like, I don't know. She's like she just seems like a very quiet person, but you can still kind of like get a lot out of her, just because of how good of an actress she is. But I'm interested. I think that's going to be a crazy movie just because you have both Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro in it.
Wow.
And it's a unique plot. Like, I mean, it's pretty much, it's kind of depicting the, what it was called, the Reign of Terror. So this was I don't know, well over 100 years ago, I think, back when they were kind of showing the murders of the Osage Nation, so the wealthy oil families that were being killed off, and or basically there's a brutal crime, basically, so but the oil barons could take that land from the Osage Nation. So it's another big like more. It sounds like just a much bigger like historical movie for Marty, which he's obviously made plenty of them before. So I'm definitely interested for sure.
I read a little bit about it. They're filming right now in the area I live in here in Massachusetts. They're filming the new Adam McKay movie. So there's been Ron Perlman, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, all right in the area, man. And it's basically a political comedy. That's kind of what he's moved into at The Big Short and some other things. Succession. Him and Will Ferrell produced Succession. But it's basically about two astronomers, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, who find out that an asteroid is heading for Earth, and they go on like a tour to warn people about it. And like when you read the synopsis along with COVID happening, it seems very much like it's probably going to be a movie where people are like, hey, there's an asteroid headed here, and half the Earth doesn't believe it. I hope that that's what the movie is, but it seems like that's what it's going to kind of gear towards.
Like that would be the central issue, I guess.
Yep, like flat earthers who are like, how's something going to hit us if we're flat? It's going to be.
Yeah, it'll just fly right by us.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I think we have the Oscars coming up in a few weeks, so we should do an episode either about previous Oscars or upcoming. I just haven't seen most of the Oscar movies or even the Emmys.
Yeah, for obvious reasons, I didn't see a ton of 2020 releases last year. Only saw a handful, much less than I usually see. But we can definitely talk about it. I think it will make a unique discussion to talk about just the current slate of movies and how different it's going to be this year. Because honestly, I haven't really read much into it, but obviously, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of changes to the format of the show, and that'll be interesting.
And how weird is it having like Netflix and Amazon winning things? Like Netflix used to be a DVD rental company, and now they're the most Oscar nominated. Like it's just.
Well, it's funny too because like people tend to talk shit about Netflix a lot, and it's like, oh, like they're done, because they're losing all their shows. But I mean, they've made so much of their own content at this already at this one point. I mean, I remember 2019, they put out information about how much they were spending, and there's something like an average of $11 billion a year on all their movies to make them advertise them. And it's like, that's insane. So like they're building their own army of everything, just having their own content, trying to really get out there and be proven like they're, be taken seriously as a network that makes television shows, that makes movies. Cause I still think there's still some negative reception they get, especially regarding movies, because, a lot of times prior to COVID, they would tend to only put out only select movies in theaters for 2 weeks and then put it on their streaming program, which kind of defies a lot of what people think that the theatrical distribution should be. People think that the movie should be out for like 2 months or something before it goes out on streaming or on DVD or Blu-ray, but it's a whole thing. But yeah,
I'm it's a lot to look forward to, and a lot to look forward to that even after the pandemic settles down and we're vaccinated, we still don't have to go to the movie theaters all the time anymore. With HBO Max, everything, we're so close to Kong and Godzilla.
Yeah, well, very close. Yeah, that'll be a fun episode.
Yeah. Let's get into the brilliance that is Psycho Goreman as our backgrounds. You can see it's what you think it is just looking at these pictures. I guess I'll start off with the basic synopsis, and then we'll kind of go from there because the synopsis doesn't cover that much. Basically, it says that intergalactic assassins converge on a small town after two siblings unwittingly resurrect an ancient alien overlord, and it's written and directed by Steven Kostanski. I think I was surprised watching it because I watched the trailer. I didn't read the synopsis, apparently. I watched the trailer. I didn't know that it was going to be other aliens besides Psycho Goreman. So basically, the movie starts off with these brother and sister. It's a very girl power centered movie too. Like she's very kick-ass. She's she's hilarious. And basically, they're playing a game. They dig up Psycho Goreman, and then other creatures and beings in our universe find out that he's alive still and come down to Earth to kill him. I didn't know that whole second part of the plot, you watch the trailer and it just looks kind of like a buddy comedy about siblings and their new alien friend. You know, like
Yeah.
but E.T. had that subplot of the government trying to get him. So
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Like, 'cause prior to seeing this, I had only read that synopsis that you just read off, and I read a couple of reviews on Letterboxd from some friends who had seen it, just kind of, and you're right, I didn't know anything about like his group, his prior group of like his little prior army that comes back, or like the Intergalactic Alliance, and which honestly is like one of the funnier and like more weird creative parts of the movie. But yeah, no, it's this is just such a great surprise because I had heard about it like months ago because originally this was supposed to come out, I think like mid 2020 maybe. I know like it was supposed to premiere at South by Southwest, and then obviously COVID happened, so that got shut down, and then it premiered at a different festival, a different horror festival. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Let me see here. Oh, Beyond Fest. And Monster Fest and a couple other ones, and then that's when it was acquired by RLJE Films and Shudder, and then it was released like early or late January of this year. So
Shudder was behind it.
Shudder's behind it as well, or distribution at least, and RLJE, which they're a very unique distribution company because I feel like they tend to pick up movies like this where they more like idiosyncratic, more like violent, more just like different creative movies. They distributed a lot of S. Craig Zoller movies. You've seen Bone Tomahawk, right? You watched that?
It's the only one I've seen. I need to see his other ones, but Bone Tomahawk is.
Well, I think you'll definitely love Brawl in Cell Block 99. That movie is also just as insane as Bone Tomahawk, and then
Bone Tomahawk's really disturbing. I mean, nothing happens, and then in the last 20 minutes, like everything happens.
Yeah, no, that's another movie that has some of the like most just like disturbing, grotesque violence I've seen in a movie, and so. They tend to produce like this makes sense that they picked this up. This seems right in their alley, and also I was mentioning earlier that the director, he's a part of something called Astron 6, which is a Canadian film production, and I think they formed it like back in like 10 plus years ago, maybe. Yeah, I think like 2007, 8, and it's a kind of collaborative company. He works with I think it was started by Adam Brooks, who is the father in this movie, and
really,
yeah, so he started that company and he directed. So Adam Brooks, he also directed, I think, like The Editor and a couple other movies. So he had been directing movies under this banner for quite a while, and then Psycho Goreman was kind of like seemed like this collaborative effort where obviously he was on the acting side this time, not even doing anything behind the scenes. But
cool.
And then
it seems like that kind of movie where everybody just kind of gets together and has fun. And the parents in the movie, the subplot of the parents shouldn't work. Nothing in this movie should work. But like the subplot of the parents is like the dad's just kind of like lazy and lost his job or something, and the mom's trying to get him to be motivated, and then like at the end somehow the mom is against the dad in an intergalactic war, and like the whole side plot of it is just like there's so many side plots that are over the top.
I think something I got out of it was like, it feels like all the human characters, like you mentioned earlier, don't really seem to like even really comprehend like what's going on, and like most people in this situation probably wouldn't, but like you're right, like the father and wife are still arguing about their marriage while like the fate of the universe is just like happening like behind them. And I don't know, to me it's like interesting about that whole like this little subplot because the father is like really lazy. He honestly, their relationship to me was almost identical to that of the parents on Rick and Morty. Like almost identical. It felt like the mom is like, she kind of commands the ship. She's kind of in charge of everything. She calls out the dad for being lazy. He's like in his feelings all the time and like doesn't know what to do with his life. And but it was funny. Like I think it did work for the most part. Actually, in my opinion, it had some of the funnier moments were with the dad.
They're so funny.
Well, there's that one scene. It's so good when so I think like they finally got the little girl finally has control of Psycho Goreman, and like it's like the second day she goes back. They start playing together, and I think like. What's his name? Psycho Goreman throws like a dismembered head and it like goes through their house while the dad's watching TV, and it bounces off the wall and crashes through the TV, and he just like freaks out, and then it's just like a stable shot just on him as he's just like crying and like going in fetal position, and like
that was a long shot. That was
it was like a 15-second shot of him just like reacting and then just kind of crying, and it has all those little weird moments like that of just like people reacting to like the weirdness, and it's so funny. That was one of my favorite moments of the movie for sure.
And like when the parents bring home Psycho Goreman, and their parents are just like, "Who's this?" They're like, "This is Goreman." They're like, "Okay,
Yeah,
come on
like
in for
whatever.
dinner." And just like the more and more creatures that come down to Earth, and the more that Psycho Goreman transforms their friends and everybody in their town into other things, everybody's just like, all right. Which brings up the question: like, if one alien comes down to Earth next week, and the whole world, or you and I, go, "Hey, there's an alien," what's it like when another 10 aliens come down to Earth? Are we going to be just as surprised and be like, "Whoa, there's more aliens"? Or are we just like, "Oh, there's one alien. Now I know aliens exist. 10 other aliens isn't that interesting or surprising anymore." Like that's how this
Yeah.
movie kind of shows that question of like, okay, we know Psycho Goreman exists. Now there are these 40 other creatures who all look completely different than Psycho Goreman. But are we just all okay with it now? Because now we know that aliens are a thing.
That's a good point. Because yeah, you're right. Like at one point, especially Mimi and Luke, who were the two main kids, they at this point they had seen so much. Like not only had they seen, what is it? Isn't the group, like the army that PG has, is called the Paladins of Obsidian. So they're the ones who overthrew the Templars. Which, by the way, like I had to have this like all like brought up on my computer because like the funny thing about this movie is, again, like you said, I went to it thinking it was gonna be like this like slightly messed up like adult version of ET or something, and then they just have all this like crazy lore in it. Like there's like this like just deep crazy lore about PG before he was like locked up, and how he was like a slave on Earth, like whoever, like at a time before time, and like how he unlocked this stone which gave him all these abilities to like
I
transport.
loved how they did that scene. It was really cool and well done. Like you could tell some of it was claymation or animated, but like the whole scene was really cool, and just like I was surprised at how just beautiful it was done, and like just the whole like, hey, here's my whole entire timeline of my universe. I'm just gonna show it to you in the foreground and like the background in the next 10 seconds.
Yeah, they that's the thing is like where, again, you'd think a movie of this budget or even like bigger, honestly, because this I mean actually I don't even know the budget of this movie. I can't say that, but I know it was very low budget. But like I said, it's not like it was just all talk. It wasn't all just PG going off and talking about all this and not showing it. He, every time he started a story, it would initiate a flashback, so we actually got to see like a time before time. We get to see him enslaved and like him taking over power. And you're right, it's like to me it's like it's so creative because they're utilizing their budget and low budget to the best they can, and like really having utilizing like small models and dressing up actors in like all this crazy makeup, which like most of it looks insane. I mean, there are shots in this movie that could well be like, to me honestly, could be like a multi-million-dollar like shot. Like just some of the practical effects on hand, and specifically with the Intergalactic Alliance, which that's another subplot because they find out that PG is not imprisoned anymore, and they're the ones who imprisoned him initially. So they try to band up and figure out a way to stop him. And all those scenes are funny too because it's just like it's like a reptilian, like a brain in like a mech suit. It's like all these like crazy.
The washing machine. One of them's a washing machine.
Yeah, one of them's like a washing machine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Was that the That was the what was it? What was his name? I forget, but that was a part of PG's army, right? That was with the Paladin of Obsidian.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, that was the funny thing is I forget what his name was in the movie, but you're right. He was like a weird like washing machine blender thing, giant thing that like just like crushed bodies, I guess. That was actually voiced by a guy, Rich Evans, who's actually from Red Letter Media. Mm-hmm. Have you ever listened to anything from them or?
No, I don't think so.
They're great. They've been around for a minute, and their Red Letter Media is on YouTube. They have some of like the funniest, honestly, movie reviews I've seen, and they have like long commentaries and podcasts. And Rich Evans has been a part of it for a while. He was in it as that character, which I didn't know until after the movie, but that's just kind of funny that they got him. But yeah, like just, I mean, I could talk all day about the everything, like the artistic style in this movie, the design of the creatures and like all the blood effects. I mean, it's wild.
Who were the bad guys in it? The what were their names?
What, the his army?
No, the other people came down to, because there was like the
the Intergalactic Alliance. That's like and then Pandora was like the
The main bad guy, right? The woman.
Yeah. So Pandora was like a crazy looking like Power Ranger-y, like if I don't even know, like she looked like a Godzilla villain, just
She
like
looked like Pan's Labyrinth.
or like
The
Pan's
fawn
Labyrinth.
in Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Except the horns, it's like with her eyes and like
Yeah.
She just looked like this crazy like future mecha like I said like Godzilla like villain almost, and it was like cool. Like I said, that's just one example of like how crazy the costuming and makeup was. But she's technically the main protagonist, and she's more like trying to get out and kill or recapture Psycho Goreman.
Antagonist, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, well, that's what's funny about this movie. There, I mean, like clearly, like in just basic terms, like you could even say PG is actually like the anti-hero. He's more the protagonist, but like, obviously he's the most evil being in the universe. So like, and like the funny part is too, like that's the cool thing. There's kind of like a blurring of lines about like who is like truly evil, because clearly at PG like has the power when he wields that stone, he has like unlimited power, almost like Thanos or something. And then Pandora like wants to stop him, which technically is a good thing, but she's also like a crazy murderous like weird being.
What she did to that woman on the ship.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, there's literally the scene in the movie where she's like, where's PG or whatever his name is, and they go, oh, he's down on Earth, and she goes, bring me one of the humans. And in the next second, a human is transported onto the ship, and then Pandora moves her hand, the woman shrinks into a small box, and then Pandora smashes the bloody box and it explodes on the table. And that's when all of the people around her are like, oh, our leader is ruthless, like she's evil. I love the scenes where they're all watching her on Earth fighting PG, and there's the scene where one of them says, I never really like sports that much. Like that's one of my favorite lines in the movie. That is just like so subtle. But all of them watching Pandora fight, and they're just like and I mean, it's a smart movie too, because there's in the opening of the movie, the brother and sister playing their game they made up, right? Their child game.
Yeah, Crazy Ball.
And at the very end of the movie, when Pandora and PG are fighting each other, they go, how are we going to determine who wins and who loses? And they call back to the game that they made up. And that's what they play to like decide the fate of the universe. And like there's callbacks in the movie, and there's all these things like that are like actually pretty smart. And like you don't expect it as much from these movies, but this movie, it's just hilarious. It's gory. The first few people he kills.
Oh, I mean, that seems crazy.
You're like, oh, this movie's really gory, isn't it? I didn't expect that.
There's a line he says, like, so yeah, he walks into like some garage with a bunch of just like, like druggies, and one of them wants to fight. He like throws him into a wall and like crushes his face. And then the other two guys he picks up by the neck, and he has some line where he's like, maybe in the future, he's like, you two would be, good adversaries, but not today is not that day. And then just rips their head off in like the most like metal fucking like scene ever. Like even the music has that like, is so sweet. And yeah, like it starts off with a bang. Like this whole movie just goes like it just starts off, and right from there what you're getting into, which I love too. It doesn't take like 40 minutes to like introduce Goreman. Like no, like first like 5-10 minutes you already know something's fishy. You learn he comes back from his imprisonment. He's already on Earth. He's already fucking shit up. So like already like first like 15-20 minutes you're already like well into the story. They don't waste time, which is nice. So
Mimi is one of my favorite characters of anything recently. I mean, she's just her song for you. Like the soundtrack needs to come out on like the soundtrack would be the number one thing on iTunes if they like release this, and it could be out there too. But the Frig You song, like she's just so funny. And that's what got me. The trailer of the movie is what got me. Is it's literally about this little girl who's just putting this universal destructor of all good alien in his place. I mean, like the scene where Alistair and Mimi and Luke are in the garage, and Alistair goes, "It's nice meeting you." It's like Goreman. It's like Goreman says something like, "I want nothing more than destroy you and everybody you love," and he's like, goodbye. Like it's just it's so original and unique, and just like nothing's ever been done like it. I mean, E.T.'s a brilliant film, but like this, and the girl, now that I think about it, looks a lot like Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, she does. What's her name? I got up here. Nita Josie Hannah. Yes, she
Yeah.
plays Mimi, and yeah, like so funny because what's funny is like her and her brother are like total opposites. Luke, played by who we got here, Owen Meyer, like he's more like basic kid, kind of milquetoast. Like he's obviously kind of against everything she wants to do, but inevitably kind of leads into it because she's more of like a boss, and kind of bosses him around. But it's funny. Their dynamic is very funny, and like she just has like so much energy, and like again from the start, she just kind of commands everything. Clearly taking that lead from her mother, and like you said, how like none of this really phases any of the characters, and like her in particular, because once arguably she just wields more power than anybody having that stone. Yet all she wants to do is like have a new friend and like have her, have him do stuff with her, and like, he at one point she dresses him up like as like a cowboy or something.
Yeah, the montage, the like
Yeah.
pretty woman montage where they're like shopping. I was watching it. My wife was in the next room just listening to it, making faces, and I was like, "They're doing a shopping montage right now," and she goes, "No, they aren't." And I was like, "No, they're." And the way that they dressed him up, he looked very like the IMDb page picture of him looked very Jeepers Creepers, which I love.
Oh, true.
I love the first Jeepers Creepers movie.
Oh yeah.
He looked 100% like Jeepers Creepers.
I can see that. Yeah. And speaking of like him, Psycho Gorman himself, like awesome creature design too. He kind of reminded me of like orc from Lord of the Rings, but even more messed up, like spikes on his back. He has like spiked ears. He has all these like crazy veins flowing through his body. His mouth is disgusting when he talks. He has like, gunk and whatever in his mouth. He's like again, like I like that. It feels like they really put all their time and effort into like really making sure like these aspects of the character shine. And also like, again, what matches that is, for one thing, his voice. And I think the actor who played him is Matthew Nienaber, and then the voice is someone different. It's actually Steven Vlahos.
I just learned that just looking at the page. I didn't know it's two different people.
Yeah. So, but both, obviously it's such a awesome creative like collaboration here where you have like amazing artists designing this costume, and then you have this bulky, like amazing actor who can just have that physical presence. And then with a voice that, in a sense, his voice is kind of typical of like these, like almost like a Marvel villain, just like deep, destructive voice. But like they use that to such good comedic effect as well. Where like they're kind of constantly like Mimi, for instance, like every time PG goes into like a flashback, he's telling a story, she's always bored by it. He's telling this like crazy, like amazing story, and she's like, yeah, whatever, like let's go play a game or something. And it's funny, and that
so good.
I do have to bring up probably my favorite scene, or at least one of the funniest easily. It's like when she first realizes she has control of him, and she comes back, she leaves him with like a TV, some like entertainment stuff to keep him occupied, and he's like, you mortal fools, like entertained by such like frivolous advertisements. And then he opens up the page, and like it's like an ad for like it's like a male model posing, and Mimi says something like, "What, you don't like hunky boys?" And he's like, "I will never like hunky boys, or do I?" And like the way he says it, and the little camera zoom on his face, like my roommate and I was almost crying. Like that was such a good delivery, and
do you remember
unexpected too.
The callback to the Hunky Boys. Do you remember the callback?
Yes. Yep.
At the end. At the very end, they're fighting Pandora, and she like steps in the magazine and goes, "No, my Hunky Boys!" Like, oh my god, just the whole entire movie just keeps introducing new things. I mean, like Alistair. So Alistair is Luke's best friend is this kid named Alistair, and Mimi has a huge crush on him. He's pretty much her hunky boy. And just during the movie, he goes to leave them, and she makes Psycho Gorman turn him into a gigantic brain. And like, you got to stay to the end of the movie, because like the credits, as the credits start, it's Alistair coming down to dinner, and it's like a solid 2 minutes of Alistair's parents and him eating dinner at the table, and they're just okay with him being a gigantic brain. Like, he doesn't get transformed back. It's not one of those movies where like, all evil's destroyed, so everything goes back to normal. It's literally just like he just carries on.
Like there is like, as funny as we've been saying, like this movie is still kind of like freaky, and clearly like the blood, all the gore is there and present and striking, but also like this movie has like almost like a folklore kind of like creepiness to it, where like you said, yeah, there's even a point when they're playing a game and like his name's Alabaster, is that his name? Or Alistair. So he's the brain, and he's like walking away, and like Mimi's like, oh, like, why are you leaving? And then he like questions, he's like, do you think I'll ever like revert back to a human? And she's like, probably not. Like, just like stone cold, like, nope, like I don't think so. Like, you're gonna be this giant brain with tentacles and like eyes for the rest of your life. And
she probably could have asked like a Goreman to turn him back, right?
Easily, yeah, because I think she's the reason he even turned into that. Like, because she like had kind of a crush on him. Yeah,
she was mad that he didn't have a crush on her back, so she's like, I mean, makes him turn him into the brain. There's even that scene where out in the woods, and she looks at Psycho Goreman. She goes, Psycho Goreman, kill my brother Luke. And he goes and he grabs Luke, and she goes, I'm just kidding. And you're just like, what if he had just killed Luke? Like, he took a minute to lift him up off the ground. What if he didn't hesitate? Like,
I know. What if he just like crushed him with his palm like instantly or something?
Yep.
It's like, yeah. So it's like she's in many ways just as messed up as PG. Like,
can I say it?
What's up?
Oh no, what were you gonna say?
Oh, so yeah, she's just like almost identical in a way to him. Like, she's just as kind of ruthless and like doesn't really think about actions before doing them. So like,
is she the real Psycho Goreman?
I know. Humans are the real monster.
She's ridiculous. I mean, like, if she had kept the thing, like, she would control them till the end of time. Everybody on Earth would be giant brains, and she would just have a bunch of like Abercrombie and Fitch models just hunking it up around her. I mean, truly scary. I love the scene where like he tries to get the piece from her, like she's holding up the piece that controls him, and he's like, he reaches her and she's like, nice try, Psycho Goreman. But like, I mean, the movie just involves so many genres and themes, like the shopping scene, and I think in a way it's kind of Eli Rothish too, where like the movie is so, because you're right, I mean, it's very disturbing and gory and graphic and very twisted, but there's so many laughs in it that kind of pull you back down. Like, Eli Roth's horror movies are so disturbing that you have to add a couple of laughs in to make it like bring you back down, make it like, okay, this is just a movie. That's how this is too. I mean, like, the special effects, there's the 3 people in the garage, right? He kills 2 of them, and then the third one he turns into just a frozen 2D version of himself, of himself. And the guy is going to be frozen like that forever. And then Luke trips over him and smashes him, and you just see him melt on the floor, say thank you right before it dies. Like, that's really messed up.
Oh, it is. And also, like, when he falls over, it's like just his mouth. Like, it's like because all his body parts are like, just completely dismembered. And even he says, he's like, oh, this is my prized possession. Like, he's like proud of it. And then Luke just knocks it over like it's a vase.
He's like, no.
So that's a good example of like a scene where it's like a good blend of like, it's absolutely messed up, and like they, again, they have all the gore to get there, but it's just really funny and how it leads up to that moment. And there's just a lot of examples of that in the movie, where there really isn't a scene that doesn't really try to combine all these elements, where it's not, it's always kind of goofy in a sense, and there's always a joke to be had about anything they're doing.
It's just, I mean, and the picture behind me. So who do we have in the picture? We have Mimi, we have the dad, we have the Psycho Goreman there, and then we have the son Luke, and then we have, how do I point on this thing? Down here, we have Alistair, the brain, and then over here we have the cop.
Oh, the cop too.
The cop was 100% trauma. I mean, that was 100% a Toxic Avenger, kind of like
that was super trauma, and also even like kind of reminded me of end of RoboCop, where this scene like scarred me when I was a kid, but there's a scene at the end where like one of the big fights at the end, one of the bad guys gets like splashed with acid, and like he like basically looks like the cop. He's like walking around just like, and then like a truck just comes by and just smashes into him, and he just like explodes. Which I think this might have been like a little like nod to that, because he looked just like him. Like I said, his face was all melting and he was making like the same sound. So I don't know, maybe a little like nod to it, but yeah, that was definitely a messed up scene for sure. There's a lot of scenes where he just like imprisons people like that. Like he, like I said, the first guy you mentioned, like he like puts him in like an endless hell until Luke or puts him out of his misery, and then like same with he ends up killing the cop at the end, because the cop also tries to kill him with like the his band of, or his army, his previous army before they turned on him. So
yeah, I mean, it's Psycho Gorman versus everybody, because it's not just Pandora, it's his own intergalactic people come down. And like, I love how like the whole movie sets up a lot of things. Like it's those kind of like big setups and then quick punchline. I love that in like comedy and stand-up and stuff.
Yep.
I like that because there's a scene where Psycho Gorman is fighting all of his allies from back in the day, and it turns out that they all hated him and hated how he used his power, and none of them actually liked him. And Mimi suggests he just apologize to them. So the movie sets it up at that point, like, okay, Psycho Gorman's gonna apologize. All of his allies are gonna be his allies again, and they're gonna go fight Pandora. And instead, it's just a fight to the death battle between Psycho Gorman and all of his allies. Like he kind of apologizes. They don't forgive him. They want the little, controller of the galaxy, and he just kills all of them and then goes and fights Pandora. And it's like, just something where she's like, you gotta apologize, and you're like, this is corny, it's cute, he's gonna apologize, they're gonna forgive him. Nope, not at all the case. Like they don't forgive him, and now they're gonna fight him to the death. And
I almost thought they were gonna still fight, but then maybe something was gonna happen where like some of them are left alive and they help fight Pandora or something. But no, he just murders all of them.
Nope. It's like 1 versus 15, and they're all so different.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about it.
The same. Like, I mean, the art design. This is one of those movies that I would nerd out about. Where like, if a $50 book came out that had like what it looked like in the trailer, doing the makeup and the like that, I would buy that book. Like, I want to learn more about it. I mean,
no, I do too. I think there's so much going on in this movie that warrants that. And yeah, I mean, I was just looking up on IMDb before recording this, but there is numerous people that worked on the special effects and costuming. It looks like they had a bunch of history working on like some of the biggest movies of the past decade. A lot of superhero movies and like all these big tentpole movies. So like they definitely got very choice people to do all the effects, and like it really shows because, like you said, just the variety of different like costumes and creature types is so creative. Like some of the greatest creature designs I've personally seen, like in any
Pandora's
movie.
people and the intergalactic people, they're all just like, and it just looks so random. Like one of the intergalactic people is literally a washing machine, just 100% a washing machine. And then there's the giant, like the face in the glass case, which is that was very what is it?
Like
Mars
Ninja
Attacks.
Turtle. Like
Very Ninja Turtle. Yeah. I saw it more as Mars Attacks.
Oh, okay. Actually, yeah, I'll go with that. Mars Attacks.
But no, TMNT. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I really like that. And what was it? Umbrella Chronicles too. Umbrella Chronicles, like the main person, the main bad guy is a goldfish in a glass case on a person in a suit's shoulders. Like I like that kind of stuff. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
And I want more out of this movie. I want like 6 sequels. I want a comic book, a graphic novel. I want a video game. I mean, if the movie reaches the cult status, it will in the next couple of months, I want to say. I see a very 8-bit video game coming out online that some developer just makes on his own. It's just a fun left and right scroller game. I mean, I want sequels. I want so much more to this movie. I mean, I want like Mimi and Luke when they're like 30 years old. And like Psycho Gorman, is just living in like San Francisco, and they go and meet up with him for a road trip.
That could be like a great, like a much creative way to approach like a sequel. Where like they're now adult, like in their 20s or 30s, and like for some reason he makes like I mean, I don't know, because it's funny because it ends in a way that's kind of similar to Cabin in the Woods, where it's like, all right, it looks like the humanity's fucked because like Psycho Gorman, he like transports himself to another part of the world and just starts fucking everything up. He ends up becoming like a giant, which is kind of funny because he's ends up being like a giant monster. And then like I said, that scene with the brainchild, and he's like eating dinner with his parents. It like cuts away from a TV they're watching.
Yep.
Which again, like there's like, I don't know. I almost felt like there was kind of smart moments like that where even like them just like not even caring about what's going on TV maybe kind of mimics like real world stuff where we're kind of so like desensitized by what's going on in the world that like we just kind of tune out. Because like, literally it's like he's like destroying cities and everyone's like, we don't know what to do, and then they're just eating dinner like nothing.
It's very Godzilla.
Yeah.
How tall he was and him like breathing fire, whatever, on people is very Godzilla at the end.
Yeah, so like this movie has a little bit of everything regarding like sci-fi horror. It has those like more horrific elements from something like Phantasm or like Nightmare on Elm Street, but then it has more like the crazy like fantastical sci-fi of like Power Rangers or like Godzilla or something, and it blends them all, but still doesn't feel like it's just kind of paying homage. It still kind of feels like it's very much its own thing with its own universe, its own individual characters, and yeah, super surprised by this. So
I
surprised.
loved how tight knit too the family was, because at the end,
Yeah.
Psycho Gorman's like, I believe you're gonna go destroy everything, and Mimi's like, hey, can you just spare our lives? Just like the immediate four of us. And he's like, sure. And then just leaves. And like Mimi doesn't say like my extended family or America or anything. So
Yeah.
he just goes and is like, I'm gonna kill everybody else on this planet. But yeah, which I'm just like, I feel like did he get the piece at the end that controls everything?
Yeah, so
She gave it to him, right? And she was like, promise me you won't do anything. That would be a cool sequel if she goes to like take him down and is like stop it, Psycho Gorman. He's like, and he's still being controlled by her just because of like morals and respect and decency. It's not because she has the piece anymore. That's what I'd like to see in a sequel.
I think that'd be creative too, because yeah, you're right. It's like she's probably the only entity in the universe, like not even just person, just the only living thing being in the universe that could actually persuade him to like not do something. So, I mean, I'm all for it. Like if you can make a couple of sequels or a trilogy and still maintain the same level of like creativity and like do something different with it, and still poke fun at like all these different tropes and ideas that were present in like earlier kind of like, again, late 80s 90s monster movies, and like I'd say go for it, because this was such a breath of fresh air, like so funny, so unique. Everything about like every other scene, like you were just taken aback by some new visual cue or something crazy, and it's just nice to see something like this.
I wanted to be on set of the movie, especially with Alistair. Like, what does that brain on set look like? How heavy is it? What is it like when you bring it to set? Is it, is it remote controlled? Is it all done in post-production? Like, I had so many questions about that. And just like some things dragged on. Like the cop was in way more of the movie than you thought he would be in the movie.
Yes.
And that paid homage too. Psycho Gorman almost pretty much kills one cop and then looks at the other cop and is like, get out of here and go tell everybody you know. And I love that in movies where like a bad guy or a monster or a killer is like, hey, I'm going to let one of you go. I really like that part. Also, I was going to bring this up earlier, in looking at the picture of him on my background, I think something else that he kind of echoes is one of my favorite horror movies, The Descent. He looks very much like the creatures.
Oh, true.
Not color-wise, not really like veiny and color-wise, but he's very much echoes kind of the monsters in The Descent, which The Descent, I just want to point out, The Descent 2 takes place immediately after the first movie. It's very lower budget, and it's not like the same, I don't think, director and all that. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those sequels that I highly recommend. Highly recommend. A lot of people don't want to see that second, horror movie follow-up or whatever. It's really, really good. But that's what I want to point out. And then if you haven't seen Wayward Pines, Wayward Pines is one of the best TV shows. Lasted 2 seasons. Do you know what it is?
Yes, I know what it is. I've not seen it though, but
yeah, that's kind of what Psycho Gorman looks like.
I'll check it out. It
has
sure.
a little bit of an Abbey to them, which we didn't cover it earlier, but like in the first round of Super Bowl commercials, they showed a trailer to the new M. Night Shyamalan movie called Old. It's based off of a graphic novel, a French one, I believe. And the graphic novel is about people on an island, and every minute they start growing older and older and older, and they have to find a way off the island before they grow old and die within a day. So his new movie he just wrapped, I think, production on, called Old, is a similar plot to that. It's inspired by it, and I'm so excited for it.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about that earlier in the chat, but yeah, Old looks awesome. Like
I cannot wait.
Awesome concept. I think M. Night's like a great person to tackle something like this, and yeah, I mean,
and still nobody knows what it's about because it's inspired off the other stories. We don't know what happens in it.
Yeah, I hope this is, I don't know, this is like, I think a lot of wishful thinking, but like I feel like Old could be a movie that could kind of, in a sense, rejuvenate an interest in like the theatrical experience, because to me, old seems like something you'd want to see with a ton of people. Like it'd be fun to watch with a packed theater. So like I don't know. That's what's up?
What were we gonna say?
No. So saying yeah. So to me, I could see this being big because it seems like M. Night's had such a crazy career, but like I think he's still in the positive, like where I think enough people still respect him. Like he's clearly moved on and made a lot better movies in the past couple of years. So like yeah, I'm all for it.
He's made his comeback. I need to watch his show on Apple Plus.
Same. I mean, it looks cool.
I haven't watched it. But yeah, that's Psycho Goreman. I believe, speaking for the two of us, we could talk about this for weeks. We could just set up, record, and just do a 10-hour podcast about Psycho Goreman. And I want to buy it. I still like buying DVDs. I want to buy it on DVD. I want the bonus features. I want the director's cut. I think I rented it for $6.99. So you can find it on demand. Watch it. I'm going to scroll down and see what else it suggests, because I want to watch every movie that's like it. I want to watch everything that the director and the dad in the movie did. I mean,
so it's I rented it for like $7 or $6.99 or something on Amazon. And I want to wait till the end to bring this up, but the release of it on Blu-ray and DVD is coming out soon, but there actually is on Raven Banner, which was the main production company that made the movie. They're putting out a special edition. It's literally called the Limited Hunky Boy Ultimate Edition.
Yes. I saw that on their Facebook or something. Yeah. Yeah,
and it looks cool. Like it has a unique, it has like a cover with a slide case. It has like trading cards with it. I think it has more. Like it has the full. Oh, it comes with the full soundtrack as well.
Oh, it does? Okay, good.
So it's on sale right now on the Raven Banner website for $38 or something. I'm very interested in getting it because, this is one of those movies I would like to own as well. I could definitely see myself watching this yearly. This seems like, this is just one now I just want to show everyone I know, like all my friends. Like I watched this with one of my roommates. He loved it too. It's one of those movies I just want to show everybody and see what reactions I get out of them. So
I think when you and I get together and finally meet each other in person, I think that we should probably do a watch this movie and like not do like a what's it called?
Commentary.
Commentary. I don't want to do it in like a Mystery Science Theater making fun of it. I just think we should do an episode where we watch a movie and record us talking about it, talking about the aesthetics and the cinematography.
We could definitely do a full. We could definitely do a full commentary, and like if people really did want to watch the movie with a commentary, I mean, they could just overlay the audio or something like that. I know this. Yeah, I know what's his name does that. Pretty much it. Eric Striffler. Like I don't know if he's even doing it right now, but he's been doing that for a couple of years now, where he does like audio commentaries on like movies and cracks jokes and has fun with it. So like it's a cool idea for sure. And yeah, this is one I would love to do that for, like a live reaction kind of thing. So.
It's so good. We highly recommend it. Find us on social media. We're Weiliotis on Twitter, the Weiliotis Podcast on Facebook, the Weiliotis Podcast on Instagram. We got some good followers on there. We get a lot of likes on our posts. Go back and watch our first 5 episodes. Tom's gonna post
or 6 now.
Is that one out? Our 6th one will be out tomorrow?
Well, when you're watching this, it should already be out.
Yeah. So we'll have that one, which is going to be, it's just a catch up of us talking about what we've been watching. But yeah, I mean, hopefully the movie world changes soon in terms of, hopefully once we're vaccinated, we can go to the movie theater again. Cause I'm telling you, I'm going to get a Bloomin' Onion at the Outback. Ooh. And then I'm going to go see whatever movie is playing. I don't care if it's Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants 6. I just want to go to the movies again. I want to order a $15 this thing of popcorn and just drown it in butter and salt and just.
Oh yeah, I miss it dearly. Like, cause I got a couple of chances during COVID to see movies, and I kind of took that risk. But like, yeah, I mean, most of us have seen little to no movies in the past year now. So it's almost been a full year since most people have really gone to a movie and seen the theatrical experience. So. Yeah, who knows what will happen, but I'm saying optimistic. I think a lot of people still want to enjoy the movies. It's just a lot harder right now, but things will change. Yeah. Things will change eventually.
Yeah. Find us on social. I believe in the next coming weeks we're gonna have one of my friends on who is Miss New Hampshire. She's a former pageant star. We're gonna talk about Drop Dead Gorgeous with her, which is kind of a underrated kind of movie, which is hilarious.
Yeah, that's a little blind spot for me. I haven't seen it, so it'll be a first for me. I'm
Oh,
excited.
it's so good. And then we're gonna do The Boys soon. We're gonna talk about The Boys.
Yep, season 1 and 2.
Season,
Yeah,
one
we're
and two.
thinking
Sure,
of doing
film
that
three.
and talking about maybe like other superhero stuff that maybe
Yeah.
The Boys is kind of like picking fun of or or anything like that, because that's a very very unique show that I think is came out at the right time during like all of this like hype about superhero movies. So
Yeah. Oh, and it just takes that question of what if Captain America were an asshole? Like the synopsis of the show and the story behind it is just brilliant. But yeah, what else do we have? Any other shows or movies? Oscars are coming out soon. Check it out. I know the nominations are out for that. I believe Emmys are out as well. Let's talk about that next episode. But
yeah,
that's,
I think that about wraps it up. So
yeah, go look up some hunky men on the internet after you're done listening to this podcast, and go watch Psycho Goreman, buy the soundtrack. I think can we do an acoustic cover of Frig You in the next episode?
Oh man, we should.
I got my guitar here, and yeah, let's do it.
Fuck yeah.
That's all I have. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you again, everybody. Until next time.
Yeah.
Peace.